Welcome to Wild Dreams. Tonight, we journey into the heart of the African night, to a world that never truly sleeps. If you're joining us for the first time, this is your place to drift, to listen, and to wander the quiet corners of the wild. Before we begin, tell us in the comments where you are in the world right now and what time it is for you. And if you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe so you never miss another story beneath the stars. Now close your eyes. Let the night unfold. This is how elephants sleep. Dreams of the Savannah. The sun has fallen beyond the horizon, leaving a slow, molten glow along the edge of the sky. The air still carries the warmth of day, and the grasses of the savannah sway in a slow, hypnotic rhythm. A single acacia tree, its branches bent and stretched like the fingers of a dancer, stands against the fading light. In the distance, a low rumble trembles across the open plains. It's deep, resonant, not thunder, but the voice of giants. The elephants are on the move. The matriarch leads them. Amara, broad-shouldered, her tusks long and worn smooth from decades of foraging and battle with the wild. Behind her, the herd moves in patient silence. Sisters, daughters, young calves, a world within a family. Their great ears fan slowly, catching the faint breeze, listening to things that human ears could never perceive. Each step presses softly into the earth, the rhythm steady, eternal. Dust rises and settles, stirred by feet the size of drums, yet gentle enough to leave grass blades unbroken. They travel not for food tonight, but for safety, for rest. For elephants, sleep is a rare luxury. They are the architects of memory, the keepers of ancient paths, and they cannot afford to lie down for long. Predators rarely challenge them, yet still they remain wary. Even in peace, they carry the instinct of vigilance, an old memory passed down through time. Amara lifts her trunk and breathes in the air, a tapestry of scent and temperature and sound. To her, the wind is a language. It tells her who has passed, what the night holds, and where the water waits. The herd moves on, guided by her memory. They have walked this land longer than the grass itself has known the rain. And somewhere within that immense wisdom lies the strange secret of their dreams. For elephants do dream, though not as we do. Their sleep is shallow, fleeting, often taken standing beneath the stars. Yet when they do surrender to deeper rest, scientists believe their minds journey through memories with astonishing depth. They recall places long vanished, companions long gone, rivers that dried before their children were born. A calf stumbles over a tangle of roots. Amara stops, turning her vast head, and touches the little one gently with her trunk. A slow, reassuring caress. It's an act of kindness, but also of teaching. The young must learn where to tread, when to rest, and how to read the language of the world. The night deepens. A soft wind carries the scent of rain, though none will fall. The grasses sigh, bending under invisible hands. Above them, the stars gather in a silken band, the Milky Way spilling like river foam across the black. And beneath that starlight, life continues its endless breathing. Hyenas call from the far hills, their laughter echoing in uneven bursts. An owl sweeps low over the grass, silent and exact. Farther off, a lion roars, a single note, long and deep, meant more for warning than for war. But the elephants are unbothered. They have heard it all before. Every night, for 1,000 generations. The savannah belongs to many. Yet no creature holds its memory as they do. As they move, Amara's mind hums with quiet thoughts. patterns of scent and shape and sound that no one else could untangle. She remembers seasons when the plains were green and fat with life, when the rivers sang louder than the wind. She remembers calves she has buried, friends lost to age and drought, the songs of thunder that once rolled over these same lands. In the calm of her awareness, sleep is a distant thing, but it will come. The herd slows as the moon rises, pale and perfect above the horizon. Its light turns their grey skin silver, their shadows long and soft across the earth. They reach a stand of mopane, the leaves fluttering in the gentle air like coins of jade. It is here that Amara decides to stop. She circles once, tests the wind, and lets out a low rumble that passes from her body to the next, and the next, until the sound fades into the ground. The herd gathers close, calves nestled between mothers, bodies touching. There is no sleeping yet, not truly. Elephants rest in cycles, minutes at a time. The adults will take turns keeping watch, while others doze. One of the young females, Nuru, shifts her weight and half closes her eyes. Her head droops, her breathing slows. She dreams standing up, a strange balancing act that only the giants have mastered. Her mind drifts across the world of sound. For an elephant, even dreams may come as vibrations, as faint tremors of memory. Amara remains awake. Her eyes are steady on the horizon. Somewhere out there, perhaps miles away, she can sense another herd. The calls of elephants travel farther than any voice on land, low rumbles that cross through the earth itself. They may be family, or strangers, or ghosts of memory echoing from last season's passage. The hours creep on. The stars shift, the night deepens, and the air cools until each breath leaves a trace of mist. Now, Amara lowers her trunk, feeling the softness of the soil beneath her. The herd has stilled completely, their breathing forming a slow, ancient rhythm, a lullaby as old as time. Sleep comes to the plains not all at once, but in waves. The grasses bow, the insects hush, even the hyenas fall silent. At last, the matriarch closes her eyes. Her body sways slightly, the faintest motion of balance, but within her vast mind, entire worlds unfold. She is walking again, but not here. She is walking through rain that fell 50 years ago, on the day her first calf was born. She can feel the cool water on her back, the scent of the wet earth, the laughter of her herd as they splashed in pools that no longer exist. This is not memory, it is dream. And within that dream, time is meaningless. The elephants of her past and the elephants of her present walk together. The earth hums with life, and she feels connected to everything. The wind, the water, the distant thunder rolling beyond the hills. For elephants, dreams are not escape. They are remembrance. Each night, in fragments of rest, they revisit the paths that shaped them. They are the gardeners of memory, the keepers of the land's story. The night continues. Hours pass in silence. The moon begins to tilt toward the western edge of the sky. Amara stirs. A faint vibration wakes her. The rumble of a distant lion, or perhaps the call of another matriarch far away. Her eyes open, dark and deep, reflecting the light of 1,000 stars. She shifts her weight, brushes against her daughter, and moves closer to the smallest calf. He is sleeping deeply, his legs folded beneath him, his trunk resting on the earth like a dropped rope. A soft snore rises from him, and Amara leans down to nudge him gently awake. It's time to move again. The herd stretches, yawns, and begins to walk. Their footsteps are soft, their shapes ghostly in the dim light. They are creatures of constant motion, sleeping in pieces, dreaming in fragments. Yet somehow, through that scattered rest, they carry one of the greatest memories in the animal world. Scientists believe elephants remember the faces and voices of others for decades. Some can recall places they haven't visited in years, navigating across hundreds of miles of open land to find water in a single dry season. Perhaps that is why they sleep so little. To remember as they do might leave little room for dreaming. Still, when they rest, truly rest, it is as if the entire savannah pauses with them. The grasses stand still, the night breathes quietly, and somewhere in that vast silence, an elephant dreams. The horizon is pale now, the faintest brush of silver against the dark. A breeze moves through the grasses, whispering secrets from one blade to the next. The world is beginning to wake, though here, in the deep heart of the savannah, the line between night and day is delicate, easily blurred. Amara and her family press on, their shapes half dissolved in mist. The youngest calf, still drowsy, walks close to his mother's flank, his steps small and uncertain. His trunk swings lazily, bumping the air as if chasing ghosts. For the elephants, this time before dawn is sacred. It is when the world is quiet enough for thought. They pass through a shallow valley where dew clings to the grass and every droplet catches the first faint light. The earth here remembers water, the bed of a river long dry, its curve still traced into the land once, generations ago. This valley carried rain down from the mountains, feeding forests that no longer stand. Amara pauses. She remembers. Her feet sink slightly into the soft soil, and the scent of old clay rises. She has been here before, perhaps 10, 20 years ago. But memory in elephants is not linear. It flows in circles like the rivers that shape this land. She reaches her trunk down and brushes the ground, feeling it as one might touch the pages of an old book. The others wait behind her, trusting her instinct. In the hush of the moment, we glimpse the invisible architecture of elephant knowledge, maps written in memory, not ink, guidance carried not in words, but in the rhythm of their movements. The sun edges higher, spilling gold through the mist. Birds begin to stir, starlings, hornbills, bee-eaters, each offering a single note that will soon swell into the full orchestra of morning. The herd slows, and one by one, the elephants stop. Amara turns her head slightly, her ears catching something beyond human hearing, the low pulse of another herd, perhaps a mile away. It's a soft vibration through the soil, a subsonic murmur that passes beneath our awareness. Through this invisible channel, elephants speak to one another across great distances, sharing news of water, of danger, of life. The calf presses close to his mother, eyes heavy with sleep. His body sways gently. Amara brushes her trunk over his back, the gesture saying what words never could. Rest, little one. He folds his legs beneath him and sinks to the ground. Dust rises in a faint halo around him, catching the light. The adults form a loose circle, protective yet calm. For a few minutes, the plains are utterly still. In that quiet, the science of elephant sleep unfolds. Unlike us, they do not sink easily into long stretches of rest. Most sleep standing, leaning slightly against a tree or termite mound for balance, only in the safest places, and only for brief moments, will they lie down completely, as the calf does now, entering the deepest phase of sleep, known as rapid eye movement. Here, their brains flicker with bursts of activity, waves of memory and imagination. Researchers who have studied captive elephants with gentle sensors have seen this pattern. The sleeping giants twitch their trunks, shift their feet, their eyes moving beneath closed lids. They are dreaming. What does an elephant dream of? Perhaps of rain, of rivers, of the taste of marula fruit, sweet and sharp, perhaps of voices, deep rumbles exchanged between kin long gone, or perhaps their dreams are simply sensations, sound and scent braided into something too vast for human thought. The calf snuffles in his sleep, his small trunk curling and uncurling. He is dreaming of play, of chasing birds and splashing through puddles, of his mother's warmth, of sunlight glinting off water. Amara stands above him, dozing lightly. Her great eyelids drift half-closed. In her half-sleep, she senses vibrations from the earth, not danger, but memory itself, resonating faintly through the soil. The savannah is ancient, and everything that lives upon it carries the echo of everything that came before. A zebra herd grazes nearby, hooves soft in the grass. Farther off, a lone giraffe moves with slow grace between acacias, its shadow long in the newborn light. And still, beneath all this motion, the elephants rest. The science tells us that wild elephants may sleep as little as 2 hours each day, the least of almost any mammal their size. Yet they function with an awareness that never truly fades. Some researchers believe this constant alertness is why elephants have evolved such powerful memory. When you cannot sleep deeply, you must remember everything. It's a curious paradox. A creature that dreams rarely, but remembers always. Amara wakes fully as a soft gust of wind passes through the valley. The scent of predators rides faintly on it. Lions, perhaps a pride resting after the night's hunt. She lifts her trunk, breathes once, then exhales. No immediate threat. But the herd will move on. The calf stirs, blinking sleep from his eyes. The family resumes their slow journey, the morning sun gilding their backs. As they walk, the light spreads wider. The sky, once washed in silver, now burns with pale gold. The heat will come soon, a dry, relentless weight that presses every creature into shade. But for now, the air is cool, the world awake yet calm. The elephants follow a path carved by generations. It leads to a watering hole, small, shallow, ringed with mud and the marks of countless feet. Birds skip across its surface, and the smell of damp earth fills the air. They approach silently. The calf rushes ahead, trumpeting with delight, splashing clumsily into the shallows. The others watch, amused in their quiet way. Amara steps forward and drinks deeply, drawing water up through her trunk. A marvel of evolution containing over 40,000 muscles, and releases it into her mouth. She drinks not just for thirst, but for ritual. For elephants, water is more than life. It is memory made liquid. Once, there were rivers that never dried, lakes that mirrored the stars. She remembers those days. She can taste them in every drop. The calf sprays himself, squealing softly, and the others follow, throwing arcs of water that sparkle in the sunlight. The air fills with mist and laughter. It is in these moments of joy that we glimpse the deeper truth of elephant life. They are emotional beings, capable of play, empathy, even grief. They have been seen mourning their dead, touching the bones of lost kin, standing in silent vigil. When they sleep, these emotions do not vanish. They echo through the night, perhaps shaping their dreams, reminding them of what once was. Amara turns her head, gazing toward the distant line of trees where another herd once disappeared years ago. For a moment, she stands utterly still, eyes half closed, as if listening for a sound just beyond reach. Then she rumbles softly, low and resonant. It is not a call to the living, but a greeting to memory. The day rises higher. Heat ripples across the plains. The elephants retreat into shade beneath a cluster of acacias, their branches throwing patterns of light and shadow across their backs. They stand together, close enough that their skin touches, their trunks brushing lazily through the dry air. The calf lies down again, half dozing. The others rest on their feet, heads lowered, ears drooping. The world slows. Even the insects seem to hum more softly. If you listen carefully, the savannah itself seems to breathe, a single vast organism pulsing with rhythm and rest. Amara closes her eyes once more. Sleep comes to her in fragments, a patchwork of seconds stitched together by instinct. In those fleeting moments, her mind travels again. She's walking through tall grass, the sound of rain soft on her skin. Around her, calves play, their trumpets echoing across a landscape greener than any she has known in years ahead. A mountain rises, Kilimanjaro, its snow faint but visible. She remembers that mountain, though it lies far to the north. In her dream, she feels its pull, as if the land itself calls her back. Dreams are strange things for creatures who live by memory. For Amara, they are not escapes, but messages. Fragments of knowledge, reminders of roots and seasons, a whisper that says, "The water lies there, beyond the ridge." She wakes with a deep breath, the dream fading, but the instinct remaining. Perhaps it is coincidence. Perhaps not. She shifts her weight, sniffs the air, and begins to move. The herd follows without question. They travel through heat, shimmer, and shadow, guided by something older than logic. This is how elephants survive the endless turning of the world, by carrying their past within them. Each step is a story, each pause a memory. And when they sleep, they visit those stories again, as we might return to a favorite place in our own dreams. The sun reaches its zenith, blazing white above the plains. Far off, a storm gathers, dark and promising. The scent of rain rides the wind once more. For Amara and her family, it means shade, water, renewal, perhaps even another night of rest. The savannah stretches endlessly before them, an ocean of gold beneath a sky of fire. And as they move forward, their shadows drift like memories across the earth, silent and sure, bound to the rhythm of a world that never truly sleeps. The first thunder comes softly, a murmur beneath the breath of wind. Clouds build on the horizon, tall and silver-edged, their undersides bruised with violet. The air shifts, the scent of dust giving way to that unmistakable promise, rain. The elephants sense it long before a drop falls. Amara raises her trunk, feeling the change in pressure, the cool scent of ozone. Around her, the herd grows restless, the calf trumpets, stamping the ground in excitement. He has never known real rain, not since his first season, when he was too young to remember. The wind strengthens, grass bends. Distant flashes of lightning trace across the sky like veins of light. For a creature of such size and power, the elephant's reaction to rain is pure joy. They are children of the storm. The first fat drops strike the dust with soft pops. Then the heavens open. Water cascades over their backs, carving shining rivers down wrinkled skin. Amara stands still, eyes half closed, letting the rain run into the deep grooves of her hide. Around her, The herd moves, playful and wild, rolling in the mud, spraying themselves with trunks full of rainwater. The air fills with the scent of wet earth and thunder. For a time, it is chaos, but gentle chaos. The world renewed. Rain on the savannah is life returning to life. Seeds buried for months awaken beneath the surface. Cracked riverbeds remember their purpose. Even the stones seem to breathe again. The herd drinks deeply from pools that form in the grass, each mouthful cool and sweet. Their skin gleams silver under the flashes of light. When the storm passes, it leaves behind a world reborn. The clouds drift apart, revealing the last gold of sunset. Water steams from the earth, rising like ghostly smoke. The elephants stand quiet again, surrounded by the scent of new beginnings. The calf collapses in the mud, exhausted from play, his sides rising and falling in slow, even breaths. The others gather close around him, forming that familiar circle of comfort. The day fades into a tender kind of darkness. The insects begin their chorus once more, a slow hum spreading through the air. It is here, in the hush after rain, that the savannah truly dreams. Amara lowers herself carefully onto her side. A rare thing. The ground is soft now, cool and safe. Her body sighs against the earth, her great head resting upon her tusk. Around her, the herd settles. A few stand guard, their eyes alert but calm. She breathes slowly, deeply. Her heartbeat slows. The world around her dims. And then sleep takes her. Deep, heavy, complete. For elephants, this is the rarest kind of rest. Full body sleep. It comes only in moments of absolute safety, often after rain, when the scent of predators is washed from the air and the land feels forgiving. In this stillness, Amara's mind releases the endless watchfulness of waking life. Her consciousness drifts, not into nothingness, but into memory, vivid and alive. She dreams of her mother, the scent of her, the warmth of her side, the feeling of her trunk brushing gently over her own small head. It is not imagination, it is recall. Pure and perfect elephants remember family, with an intimacy that endures long after death. The dream shifts. She is walking along a riverbed, the same one her herd crossed generations ago, though in the dream it runs with deep water. Fish flash like silver knives beneath the surface. She hears the calls of birds she has not heard in decades. She is young again, strong and quick, her tusks sharp and white. She runs with the others, splashing through water that gleams like glass. The sound of thunder becomes the sound of their laughter. Dreams in animals remain one of science's quiet mysteries. We know the patterns, the rhythms, the eye movements that mark them, but not the stories they tell. Yet watching Amara in her sleep, seeing the subtle movements of her trunk, the twitch of her feet, it is hard not to believe she is somewhere far away, reliving the ancient joy of rain and herd and earth. The night deepens. The air is cool and fragrant. The calf, curled beside his mother, shifts and sighs. His ears flicker as he drifts between wakefulness and the soft pull of dreams. In his mind, perhaps he is chasing butterflies, or running through shallow water, or simply hearing the faint, rhythmic rumble of his family, a lullaby that never ends. The moon climbs through the torn remains of clouds, bright and steady. Its light spills across the wet land, turning every puddle into silver glass. The elephants gleam beneath it, statues of peace. Around them, the savannah moves with quiet life. Frogs call from temporary pools, their voices blending with the hum of insects. A jackal watches from the shadows, curious but wary. A herd of impala drifts nearby, their eyes wide in the half-light. And through it all, the elephants sleep. Each breath from Amara sends a puff of mist into the air. Her dreams deepen. Now she is far away, on the edge of a forest she has never truly seen, though her ancestors once knew it well. It is dense and green, the air rich with the smell of rain and fruit. The sound of insects is thick as music. She moves through it with her herd, the ground soft underfoot. In the dream, the trees open onto a meadow of flowers. Her calves run ahead, laughing in the language of trumpets. She follows, her heart full. She knows this place. Though she has never been here, she knows it. A memory inherited through the strange channels of instinct and story. Elephants have walked this earth for millions of years. Somewhere, deep in their minds, the memory of forests and rivers remains. The dream turns again. She sees bones, old, sun-bleached, lying in the grass. The air grows quiet. She approaches them slowly, her trunk reaching out. In the dream, as in waking life, she touches them with reverence. Elephants have been known to do this, to stand before the remains of their kin, to caress the skulls and tusks with slow care, as though recognizing them. Amara's breath deepens. In her dream, she feels neither fear nor sorrow, only connection. The line between life and death is thin here, softened by time. Her dream is not of loss, but of belonging. Perhaps this is what sleep means to elephants, a return to the vast memory of the species itself, a chance to walk again with those who came before. Hours pass. The moon begins to fall toward the horizon. The sky grows pale at its edges. The matriarch stirs. Slowly, she lifts her head. The mud clings to her skin, dark against her pale tusks. Around her, the herd is waking, stretching, shifting, shaking the night from their bodies. The air smells clean, fresh with the aftertaste of rain. The calf yawns widely, trunk flopping. He pushes against his mother's leg, full of energy once more. Amara rises, her great form unfolding like the earth itself moving. She stands still for a moment, her gaze fixed on the horizon where the first light is breaking. Somewhere within her, the dream lingers, not as an image, but as a feeling. Peace, continuity, the quiet understanding that the world endures. The elephants begin to move again, their silhouettes etched against the soft dawn. Mist curls around their legs. Birds lift into the light. They travel toward the open plains, where the wet grass gleams gold. For all their might and mystery, elephants live by simple truths: to walk, to remember, to protect, to rest when the world allows it. Sleep, for them, is not escape, it is communion, a conversation with the earth itself. And as they disappear into the golden haze of morning, the savannah breathes once more, vast and eternal, carrying the dreams of giants into another day. The light grows tender and warm, spreading out across the soaking plains until every blade of grass seems to glow from within. The earth releases a soft breath of steam as the sun lifts, and the air holds that brief, perfect balance between cool morning and the promise of heat. Amara leads her family over the damp rise, the soles of their feet pressing quiet crescents into the softened ground, the calf skittering ahead, then doubling back, always keeping one eye on the shelter of his mother's shadow. Their bodies glisten with a thin film of water, and where the overnight mud clings in dark patches, dry dust now flowers into pale maps. a geography drawn across living skin. The herd moves with the grace of certainty, as if the land itself instructs each step. They are not rushing. Nothing about them rushes. They are measuring the day by the rhythm of it. Distance to shade, scent of water, the invisible lanes of safety that curve between thorn and open ground. Already, we feel the gentle tug toward the day's quiet heart, the long stretch when time thins and slows, when rest visits in short visits and drifts away again. Beyond the shallow rise, the plain opens wide. Zebra scatter in an elegant ripple. Impala lift their heads in one motion and then settle, reassured by the elephant's untroubled progress. A pair of warthogs freeze at a puddle, their tails straight as twigs, then plunge forward and send a spray of silver drops into the air. Somewhere, the memory of thunder lingers, but the sky is newly washed, its blue clean as river glass. Amara pauses where a low path cuts along a line of termite mounds. The mounds are old, cathedrals of clay, centuries in the making, some fallen and softened by rain, others tall and sharp like distant mountains. Termite cities hum beneath the surface, a constant patient labor that remakes the earth grain by grain. The herd threads among them, side brushing side. Every so often, a trunk reaches out to rake gently at a crust and taste the minerals, the subtle chemistry of the soil. To an elephant, the world is not merely seen. It is felt, tasted, heard through the bones. Even the most ordinary dust is a library, and the matriarch reads it with a scholar's calm. Who came here last? Which direction they chose? Whether the air is pregnant with danger or simply with heat. As the sun shoulders higher, the colors sharpen, and the day lifts its weight. Shade becomes a currency. The dark green crowns of acacia trees gather allure as surely as water. There, beneath the feathery leaves and the careful windowed light, the herd will settle into their daytime rhythm. The small glimmers of sleep spaced like beads along a string. The calf's energy begins to fray. He lingers beneath his mother's chest and bumps against her foreleg, as if the touch itself is food. Amara bends to brush him with her trunk, a gesture as ancient as any prayer. Her sister Nuru shifts closer, and the family knits itself tighter in that quiet, shapeless way. Each body a wall, each wall a circle, each circle a promise. There is power in such closeness. The world runs thinner at the edges of it. Predators hardly risk it. Heat slips more lightly over it. Even time seems to trickle, to gather in small, clear pools. They reach the trees and drift into stillness. It is a stillness structured by attention rather than sleep, and yet rest passes through it like a cool current. The elders lean against the earth's gentle tilt, the trunk base of a tree, a mound's shoulder, the slope of their own weight, until posture and gravity find agreement. Lids lower halfway, breath slows, ears lift and fall, not in alarm, but as a metronome of calm. This is how they sleep the day. In half-lit rooms of the mind, doors open to the corridor of the world, the calf folds his legs and sinks, not all at once, but as though gravity has decided to be kind. He sighs. He is asleep in a breath, his trunk pooling along the dust like a small river gone temporarily idle. The rest do not follow him fully. They stand, they drift, they keep watch by doing nothing obvious at all. The science of such rest is subtle. In this polyphasic rhythm, these many small naps stitched across hours, there is conservation, a genius of energy and awareness. in a body too large to gamble. Their sleep is short, but its architecture is finely tuned. Brief dips into slow waves, occasional precious dives where images spark and memory renews itself even standing, they can dream. The trunk twitches, the mouth curves minutely, a foot makes a whisper of a step, as if walking into a scene no one else can see. That is how a matriarch threads her wisdom from day to day. The waking map of the land is woven through with the sleeping map of what the land once was. And the two, braided, give direction. When the heat peaks, sound flattens and distance shimmers. Time dilates under the treetops. The calf wakes and sleeps, each cycle adding a grain of calm to the hourglass. Each waking, he rises to taste the shade from a different angle, to nurse for a breath, to bump his head under an aunt's belly, to find again the precisest niche where his neck fits the cradle of his mother's front leg. This choreography is not taught in any way we would recognize. It grows in them like bone. The family space is a soft architecture that flexes with the day, an interior without walls, and yet the safest of rooms every so often. A rumble travels through the group, velvet deep and felt more than heard. It says everything. I am here, you're safe, the world is ours exactly this much. The edge is there. Far out on the light-drenched grass, a line of white egrets paces after a slow herd of buffalo, the birds careful as physicians, the buffalo patient as boulders. A tawny shape resolves at the limit of sight. Lion, then two, then a third. Their gait an elegant equation of muscle and intent. They are not hunting the elephants, not now. The day is too blunt and heavy for that. But the elephants observe them as the sea observes storms, aware, vast, unafraid. Predators tend to the edges and shadows. The elephants hold the center by being wholly themselves. Sometime after noon, the world leans the other way. Light loses a little of its hardness. The air loosens. A breeze massages the acacias until their leaflets flutter like an enormous school of fish. The family stirs as a unit. A shoulder shifts, a tail sweeps dust. A trunk explores the bark of a tree and the rim of a mound. In this hour, they feed briefly. Leaves harvested with methodical grace. Bark rasped away, pods explored. Twigs tested and rejected with a delicacy that belies their size. The calf learns the day's lesson. Which thorns yield sweetness, which stems lie about it. How to turn a branch to make the bite easiest. How to listen through the jaw for the song of the plant. Such things pass from trunk to trunk, from shadow to shadow, not as rules, but as rhythm. Learning is another word for belonging. With the tilt of the sun, they move again. The valley that steamed at morning is now dappled with islands of damp, and the edges of temporary pools are embroidered with the scribbles of small feet. Dragonflies blade through the thickening air. The path bends toward a low basin where, after rains, water lingers like a vow kept. Amara carries the map of this place inside her. She navigates by a constellation more precise than any star. Granites remembered, scents catalogued. Winds that once blew this way and then the other. Her nieces follow, their bodies rhyming with her steps, their ears aligning to her small decisions. Within such matching, a culture survives. At the basin, the water is shallow enough to reflect sky and deep enough to cool grief. The herd drinks, but the act is more than thirst. In water, elephants wash the day from their skins, but they also retrieve something the heat folds away. Play, yes, and a grandeur of ease. The calf splashes as if every drop must be introduced to air. Nuru, more solemn, tests the mud's edge, then lowers herself deliberately to coat the places the sun insists on. Amara stands with her feet half submerged and lets the surface tension draw soft rings around each toe. This is medicine. The minerals feed skin and hidden aches. The coolness effaces time's insistence for a while. If sleep tonight is to be deep, the recipe includes this moment: heat broken by water, a body remembered by mud, laughter folded into the afternoon. From somewhere beyond the reed fringe, a shape rises and steadies. Hippopotamus, round and monumental. It huffs, holds, then sinks to its chin, proclaiming nothing and everything. The elephants do not startle. Each kingdom observes the other with the mutual courtesy of old neighbors whose fences were built by rain. The hippo remains, the elephants move along the bank, their steps leaving hieroglyphs that will say to tomorrow's travelers, "Here we came, here we found enough, here we were content." When they leave the water, the world is already making a decision about evening. Colors warm. The long light is a gentle fire thrown across the plain, and the shadows of the elephants stretch far enough that you could walk along them like roads. This is the hour when birds convert air into gold and return it to the ground as song, when termites release their elate queens and kings to the sky, and the sky briefly resembles a snow globe of living wings. The calf leaps at the air, confounded and delighted by its sudden generosity. One of the elders lifts her trunk and plucks a drifting termite from the breeze, tasting a memory of sweetness. They head toward the ground that will make a good night, a swell with visibility on all sides, a clutch of trees with low branches strong enough to lean on and high enough to shelter calves from the night wind, an old track that allows silent retreat if silence is ever required. Such considerations are a science of their own. They are also a form of love. A matriarch's care distills into 1,000 practical choices that together make a world in which sleep can venture near. Dusk stitches itself into the day so deftly it's hard to say when exactly night begins. A pale coin of moon rises above the far Thornveld, and along the horizon, a fugue of purple and bronze announces that the last chapter of light is closing. The herd arrives at the chosen ground and eases into arrangement. The young lie first, settling like boats finding their moorings, small collisions becoming perfect fits. The adults remain on their feet, a ring of quiet mountains whose peaks listen to everything the dark can say. The breeze brings a catalogue of distances. Somewhere, a hyena discusses an old bone with the night. Somewhere else, a reedbuck steps twice and chooses stillness as its camouflage. The lions from the heat of noon are dust now, their tails writing cursive on the evening's last page. The elephants stand. The elephants begin to sleep. For a time, sleep drifts from elephant to elephant as a visiting bird might, perching here, then there, never staying long, always finding the next shoulder with equal grace. Dreams alight in brief, bright landings. The elder's trunks stir as if stroking the air. A foot unroots itself and resettles more surely. A head tilts to match some remembered slope to a new angle of rest. The calf has reached his own little country of sleep and travels its length on easy feet. In that country, the sun is always exactly the right warmth, water always the right depth, the shadow of mother always perfectly placed. Midnight is still a far shore, when something like a second dusk passes through the herd, the inward dusk of deeper rest. The circle tightens, a decision, perhaps one that grows within the group like a tide, arrives without announcement. Amara eases her weight to one side. The ground accepts it She bends her knees, lowers her immense body with the practiced care of a creature for whom lying down is both relief and risk. Soft earth cups her. A cousin mirrors the move, then another. A gap opens in the ring where standing sentinels remain. In those sentinels dwells the old agreement between sleep and survival. In those who fold themselves to the ground lies the other old agreement, the one with dream. What gathers behind Amara's closed eyes is not spectacle, not fever, not the kind of dream that startles or ensnares. It is a procession of places. Each place arrives with its correct light and temperature, with the exact chorus of insects appointed to sing there. With the right lean of trees and flavor of dust, she walks through a season that never fully existed, but is made of everything that did. There is a river, and it runs with the laughter of calves who are now mothers themselves. There is a mountain, and it wears a hat of cloud that reminds her tongue of wet leaves. There is a scent she has not known since a drought 10 years past, formalized the end of a certain grove. And yet here the grove is, intact and flowering, and she eats from it with the first hunger she has felt since sleep began. The dream makes a new world from old ones. It offers it back not as longing, but as map. When she wakes, she will not recall it as we do, yet she will choose a route favored by tender gradients, by shade, by mineral pans that satisfy the secrets of blood and bone. The dream will have been a meeting where tomorrow was planned. The sentinels keep their compact with the dark. Ears pivot on invisible axes. Trunks sample the wind and the earth. A foot lifts and sets down with the patience of a clock. Eyes glimmer and grow mild again. There is so little to do, and that little must be done flawlessly. But the night is kind tonight. The predators have other concerns. The coolness arranges itself around the herd like a blanket woven by distance itself. Overhead, stars mass in their ancient count. If you could stand on the moon and listen through stone and vacuum and falling light, you would hear this field of sleep as a low, vast chord, a harmony of breath, the earth's own vowel. Toward the hour when sometimes frost considers the grass and declines, Amara's sleep lightens without leaving. A border between dream and waking fades into a simple presence. She hears, no, she feels, a greeting. It is old and bright as bone. It is not a voice, but has a speaker. It is not a place, but has an address. Some will say she is remembering. Some will say she is in the company of her dead. The truth sits between such statements and smiles. For elephants, memory is not a cabinet with drawers. It is a landscape you can step into. Tonight she has done so. She stands there as the matriarch she is and as the calf she was. She is greeted by those who taught her to find the wind in the dark. And she replies with a ripple of her trunk along the grass that says, I am here. The family is well. The land remains itself. We are becoming what we have always been. Dawn leans into the east again, almost shyly, a shy that is quickly overcome. The first saddle of light settles on the far ridge. The sentinels exchange positions with those on the ground. Through a choreography as minimal as a sigh, Amara rises in 3 clean motions that together look like one. Weight returns to her feet as a blessing rather than a burden. She takes the light into her eyes and lets it sit there, an ember gathered for the day's long walk. Around her, the family wakes. Each waking is a small poem. Dust shakes from flanks. Tails write good mornings the air remembers. The calf stretches with the serious intensity of the very young, then bounds twice in the same space because the world is suddenly twice as big and far lighter. They touch one another for a count that cannot be counted, and in that touch, any night residue is dispelled. The circle becomes a lean becomes a river. The river travels. What remains from the night does not weigh them down. It composes them. Elephants do not hoard sleep. They distill it. They carry forward only the part that helps tomorrow hold together. Every dream the matriarch walks has an exit that opens onto a path the family can use. Every path is a conversation with water and shade and the calculus of distance. If there is a genius here, it is not brilliance but continuity, not novelty but depth. The herd moves as a sentence moves. Subject, verb, object. Clarity yoked to grace. The story continues because the story has always been continuing. They pass the basin, now glossed by early light, and a kingfisher draws a blue line through the margin between air and its reflection. They pass the mounds again, an aardvark's overnight essay of claws and intense scallops, a new doorway into the great architecture. They pass the place where the rain spoke most loudly, and the ground answers with green faint as breath, the first shoots risking their pale declarations, the world promises. The elephants accept. By the time the sun gains its confident height, the herd has chosen a route that braids memory with a new ambition. A mineral lick lies ahead, an old pan that pulls iron from the earth and offers it as a quiet sacrament beyond it. A grove that kept its shade even in hard years. Beyond that, a rise where wind is an ally, and watching is easier than worry. Beyond all, another night, and then another chance for sleep, to do its ancient work. None of this is planned, and all of it is decided. The matriarch's mind, wired as tightly to the world as root to soil, keeps the ledger of such rightness without ever counting. For now, there is only the day's slow music, the pleasure of walking where the ground says yes, the way breath arrives and leaves with the dignity of tides. The calf trots at the edge of mischief. The aunts tolerate it with the patience of seasons, and Amara, who has dreamed and risen and set the family's course, gives a small, nearly invisible nod that means everything is as it should be. The savannah answers with light. Somewhere, another herd speaks through the ground, a message only those built for listening can receive. The words are broader than words. Water, shade, road, kin. The replies are steady and low. The day builds itself from such exchanges. And when the sun is finally spent, and the sky begins to trade its heat for color, the elephants will again find a gentle hill or a trusted copse. They will arrange themselves into safety and kindness, and their sleep, brief, courageous, essential, will wander the long corridors of what the world has been and what it might yet be. Dreams will come not as fantasy, but as a blueprint drawn in scent and sound. In that blueprint are routes past drought and through hunger, reunions longed for and then found, old bones honored and left in peace, and calves who will grow into memory keepers, whose steps lift dust so lightly that grass brings back unbroken. Night will hold them. Dawn will receive them. The story will go on, not because someone tells it, but because they walk it. Evening arrives again, soft and deliberate. The light that has spent all day pressing downward now spills sideways, long and low, washing everything with the color of honey left in glass. The air cools until it smells of stone and memory. A chorus of crickets begins to test its tuning. The first bats take to the sky like loose punctuation marks against the sentence of dusk. The elephants, gentle titans of the plain, Feel the shift before the shadows lengthen fully. They slow their pace until walking itself becomes a form of listening. Amara stops at a shallow ridge where wind moves freely and vision stretches clear to the faint shimmer of a distant waterhole. She knows the place, though not from sight alone. Its shape is inscribed in the deep maps of her mind, one of those inherited knowledges passed through generations like lullabies. It will hold water enough for the night and a spread of trees for leaning. She turns her head slightly, and the family follows the angle of her trunk without question, falling into a single, sinuous line. By the time they reach the ridge's base, the sun has dissolved into a broad ember, the color of old copper. The calf nudges his mother's flank, impatient but weary. The day's adventure now stored in his bones, dust glows around their feet. A flock of quail erupts from the grass in a cloud that seems to carry its own sound, a murmuration of wings that hangs for a heartbeat, then fades. The elephants move through the space the birds leave behind, the way a dream continues after waking. At the waterhole, reflections gather. The surface lies still enough that each trunk's touch sends a single expanding ring across the mirrored sky. They drink, they bathe, they stand motionless and watch the color drain from the world. A heron stalks the far edge, thin and grave. Somewhere in the near dark, a nightjar begins its soft mechanical call, steady as breath. Amara lifts her head. Around her, the herd has drawn inward, sisters and daughters forming the pattern of safety that has served them for centuries. The calf, now half asleep on his feet, leans against her leg until gravity wins. He folds down slowly, the movement so graceful it seems rehearsed. The rest arrange themselves into that familiar geometry of vigilance and trust. A ring, an open center, the living heart of the herd beating in quiet syncopation. Night folds itself across the plain. The stars appear without ceremony. There are so many that the sky looks textured, as if the universe were woven from light under this immense ceiling. The elephants settle into the rhythm that will carry them through the hours until dawn. Standing, they drift between waking and the soft gravitational pull of sleep. Lying, they drift deeper into the mysterious architecture of dreams. For the calf, tonight brings something new. Until now, his rests have been surface things, blurred images, the echo of footsteps, the scent of milk and warmth. But in the safety of this ring, after a day of rain and play, and the calm of his mother's side, his mind opens wider. Somewhere behind his closed eyes, shapes begin to move with purpose. He hears water running, though no stream lies nearby. He sees tall grass, greener than any he has yet known. Bending under invisible rain, he feels himself run, not the awkward scamper of waking life, but a smooth, weightless gallop. Other elephants are with him, their calls low and thrilling. It is as if he has been invited into a memory that does not belong to him alone. Scientists once wondered whether animals dream at all, whether REM sleep means what it means for us. But to watch an elephant calf twitch and murmur, to see the tiny movements of trunk and ear, is to witness imagination at work. The mind rehearsing what the body will someday need, the past teaching the future through the secret theatre of rest. In his dream, the calf learns confidence, learns joy. He wakes with none of it forgotten, though he will not know why his steps feel surer when morning comes. Amara dozes nearby, eyes half closed, yet wholly aware. Her trunk rests lightly across the calf's back. She dreams in her own deep cycles, each shorter than a human's nap, yet rich as whole histories. Sometimes she sees the landscape itself dreaming, rivers breathing, trees walking, clouds speaking in low thunder voices. Sometimes she is simply present, hearing the heartbeat of the earth through her feet. For her, sleep is not departure, it is conversation. Hours move quietly. The air cools enough that dew begins to gather along the grass tips, tiny beads catching starlight until the plain looks dusted with frost. A thin mist creeps from the low ground, and for a while the herd seems to float above it, half submerged in silver. The sounds of the night, distant hyenas, the bark of a zebra, the solitary cough of a leopard, are softened by distance, made harmless by scale. The world is large enough to hold them all without conflict. Toward the deep middle of the night, a brief restlessness stirs. One of the younger cows shifts, lifting her head to test the wind. She catches a faint vibration through the ground, a far-off message from another herd. It is a contact call, the kind that passes information about water and weather and new births. She rumbles a quiet reply, almost subvocal, and the message travels outward through the soil like warmth through water. Somewhere, unseen companions receive it and answer. Communication continues while the bodies sleep. The earth itself is the wire that keeps them connected. Slowly, the stirring fades. The herd breathes in unison again. A sense of timelessness takes over. The feeling that this single night could be any night across 1,000 years, the same stars, the same hills, the same hush between heartbeats. To listen is to understand how permanence feels. In Amara's final dream of the night, she stands beside a river that does not exist anymore. The banks are high with reeds, the water brown and strong. Across from her stands another matriarch, older even than memory. Their eyes meet. No words are spoken, but the meaning is vast. All this will continue. When Amara wakes, the image remains like a shadow behind her eyelids, a quiet certainty that the story stretches far beyond her own life. Dawn returns so gently that at first it seems merely a brightening of dreams. Then the mist lifts, the birds begin, and the first light of day folds over the herd like a blanket being drawn back. The calf stirs, confused for a heartbeat by the shift from dream to world, then trumpets softly and rises. His feet leave small prints in the dew. Amara touches his head with her trunk, an unspoken greeting. The others stretch, shake dust from their ears, and stand ready for the day's slow unfolding. They move east into the fresh light. The grass still glitters. Every droplet holds a miniature sunrise. The air is cool enough that breath shows briefly, then disappears. Behind them, the marks of their sleep, flattened circles in the grass, the imprint of a tusk, a child's nest of stirred dust, remain as gentle evidence of peace achieved. As they walk, Amara glances once toward the ridge, the trees, the invisible trail of scent that leads back to where night kept them safe. She rumbles a low note, part farewell, part gratitude. The sound slides through the ground and fades into distance. Then she lowers her head and continues forward, the family falling into rhythm beside her. The savannah awakens fully around them. Sunbirds dart through the acacias. Wildebeest move in dark, swelling lines towards some decision only they understand. The air smells of new grass and clean earth. For a moment, everything feels balanced. Predator and prey, heat and cool, day and night, waking and dream. The elephants walk within that balance, custodians of both worlds. As the light strengthens, the narrative of the day resumes, feeding, travel, play. But under it runs the silent counterstory of sleep, remembered, of knowledge distilled, The calf's steps mirror Amara's more closely. The younger cows walk with subtle assurance. The matriarch's path is straighter, as though her dreams have confirmed what her instincts already knew. This is how wisdom migrates, not by teaching, not by command, but by the quiet imprint of experience, renewed each night. The sun climbs, patient and inevitable. The air begins to shimmer again. Soon the herd will seek shade, will stand half asleep beneath branches, will wait for evening to come and bring with it another round of small, precious rest. The cycle is endless, not in repetition, but in continuity. The elegant rhythm of life large enough to cradle both motion and stillness. And as the sound of their slow breathing fades into the hum of the warming plain, the listener, the watcher, the dreamer can feel that same rhythm settling into the body, the pulse of distance, the drift of time, the certainty that the world, for all its movement, is at peace in this moment. The elephants continue their walk, their shadows lengthening with the day, carrying with them the simple luminous secret that even the largest hearts need only a little sleep, and in that sleep, the memory of everything. The sun spends the day folding itself into golden heat, and by late afternoon the land hums with that heavy stillness that comes just before release. Shadows stretch like cool hands over the ground. The light begins to thin. Insects lift again into their evening symphony, and the breeze that returns from the far hills smells of stone cooling, of water deep below. Amara guides her family toward a wide open stretch where the horizon has no walls. The ground there is firm, the grass sweetened by yesterday's rain, and from it they can see the first scatter of stars arriving before the light is gone. The herd's bodies move like dusk made solid, slow, rhythmic, inevitable. The calf walks close to his mother, rubbing his side against her leg every few steps, and the sound of skin on skin is soft as a sigh. When they reach the open place, they feed in long, easy pauses. Trunks curl, leaves rustle, dust drifts upward and hangs for a moment before surrendering to the wind. The sky turns the color of embers at the horizon, violet above, then deep blue. A silence grows, the kind that makes you aware of the steady beat of your own heart. The elephants hear more than silence, the tiny electric crackle of insects, the distant pulse of frogs at a hidden pool, the faintest rumble of thunder beyond the mountains. All of it weaves into the music of the world. One by one, they finish feeding and stand quietly together. The calf leans his head against Amara's flank. Her trunk traces a slow circle through the air, then rests across his back. The family forms its familiar ring, each one finding the place that feels right, where another's warmth touches the edge of their own. They stand and breathe, and the rhythm of that breathing is the slowest, gentlest drum the Savannah knows. Night takes its time closing in. Stars multiply until the sky seems to overflow. The moon lifts. Its light smooths every roughness from the land, turns dust into silver, tusks into porcelain. The elephants are motionless now, huge and silent, their eyelids drooping. Sleep drifts among them like a small wind, invisible but felt. It lingers at the edge of each body until the body allows it in. Amara's eyes close first. Her trunk lowers, coils lightly on the ground. She is still standing, balanced in a way that looks impossible, but she is gone to that interior place where the mind softens. Around her, the others follow. They will rest like this for minutes, wake, adjust, rest again. Each fragment of sleep, a small stone added to the foundation of another day. The calf folds down at last, his legs tucking beneath him, his trunk curling along his chest. The air is cool and smells faintly of acacia sap and damp earth. He exhales, a sound almost human in its release. The moonlight pulls around his small shape, and soon his breathing matches the slow beat of the herd. If you could listen closely enough, beyond hearing, you would find that the earth itself keeps time with them. A subtle vibration, a low, endless note, passes through soil and stone, the combined pulse of lives resting in unison. The savannah, vast and wild, is at peace. Amara drifts deeper. In her dream, she walks beside the same river of her childhood, the one that no longer flows. Yet here it runs full and clear, catching the light of 1,000,000 stars on its banks. Every elephant she has ever known stands waiting. Mothers, sisters, calves grown into elders. They greet her with quiet joy, the kind that needs no sound. She walks among them, feeling each touch, each memory. Time has no direction here. The past and the future are folded together, like the two halves of a leaf. The calf dreams too. He runs through tall grass that smells of rain, his small tusks gleaming, his feet weightless. He is never tired, never alone. He feels his mother beside him, though he cannot see her. In his chest, a tiny echo of her heartbeat matches his own. This is how learning begins, how courage is planted in the safe garden of sleep. Far above, the constellations drift slowly westward. They have watched such nights for millions of years, their light falling on generations of elephants, on all the sleeping creatures that depend on this same pulse of rest and waking. To them, the herd below is a moment, yet within that moment lies eternity, movement, memory, dream. The hours flow on. The night deepens until it becomes weightless. Somewhere, an owl calls once and is silent. Somewhere else, the wind changes direction, carrying the scent of a distant sea no elephant has ever seen, but that still lives inside their blood. Amara stirs just before dawn. Her eyes open, and for a moment she does not know if she's awake or still dreaming. The world is grey and soft, the moon low, the stars fading like thoughts at the edge of sleep. She listens. The herd breathes around her. The calf shifts and sighs. Everything is as it should be. She draws in a long breath and lets it out slowly. The breath becomes a rumble that passes from her chest into the ground, a message that ripples outward until it touches the feet of every sleeping elephant. One by one they wake, not startled, but eased into the world by that low, familiar sound. The sky in the east begins to colour, first silver, then pale rose. Another day is arriving. They rise, stretching the stiffness from their legs, brushing dust from their flanks. The calf wobbles, shakes his ears, then bounds toward the new light, his joy as pure as the morning Amara watches him, her eyes calm and bright. Around her, the others begin to move, their silhouettes dark against the growing gold. Together, they start across the open plain, walking toward the sun, their shadows long and sure behind them. The grass bends, the air warms, and the rhythm resumes. Walking, feeding, remembering, resting. Somewhere far away, another herd answers their low call, and the sound carries through the ground like a promise. The world turns, and with it the endless conversation of life continues, between waking and sleep, between memory and dream. And as the light grows stronger, the landscape glows. The elephants move steadily onward, their pace the heartbeat of the earth itself. They will travel until the day asks them to rest again. They will rest until the night gives them back to the day. In every breath, in every step, the great calm of their dreaming remains. If you are listening still, let their rhythm become yours. Let the hush of their world settle into the space behind your thoughts. The plains are wide, the stars are fading. The elephants are walking toward the horizon, slow and certain. And somewhere within that endless morning, sleep lingers, gentle and patient, waiting to guide you too into the quiet heart of the savannah, into the wild, steady dream that never ends. From all of us here at Wild Dreams, thank you for joining this journey. Sleep well, wherever you are in the world. Good night.